with who you really are is not something like a college degree where once you achieve it, it is yours forevermore. It either is or it isn't in the moment. So the more you reach for good feeling thoughts and the more you find them, so the more you practice your set point into closer alignment with who you are, the better you feel the more of the time. But that alignment, that flying high, like you said, all day, just feeling wonderful, that alignment does not assure that all negative thoughts that you've ever thought will go away. They're still there, and there's still the potential that someone might, through your observation of them, introduce you to a vibration that you thought you'd left behind that you haven't really left behind. Eventually, you can tune yourself out of range of those bothersome things. But the thing that we most want to leave you with, we don't want you ever to say, and we hear it from many of you, oh, Abraham, I've been reading this stuff, I've been tuning in, I've been meditating, I've been practicing the processes, I've been feeling so good, but those people at work are so negative. And then there is this sort of protective thing. I've got to protect myself. I've got to get myself away from the potential of being touched by this unwanted stuff, because I've got to get myself in this place of pureness. And what will I do? How will I work in this world where there's so much that could be troubling? And we want you to have your sea legs. We want you to feel flexible. We don't want you to be one bit worried about negative emotion. We want you to address negative emotion and even negative things that you don't want, contrasting things, for what they are. They are choices that you get to make, and you just consciously make better and better choices. We want you to feel negative emotion and say, good for me. My guidance system is telling me that I'm focused upon something that is challenging, something that matters to me. Now, what is it that this attention is challenging? What is it that I want, and why do I want it? And before you know it, you not only will not be feeling that you need to avoid contrast because you don't want to crash and burn anymore. You will never crash and burn again in the moment that you begin not just accepting contrast, but embracing it and adoring it for what it is. Let's say you're looking right at something that you don't want and you're feeling terrible after a day of feeling really good, and you say, whoa, this is interesting. Been feeling so good and now I feel so bad. Something really meaty in here. My high-flying, good-feeling day is different vibrationally from something that I'm looking at right now. What is it? Let me work the bugs out of this now. What is it about this that's illogical in relationship to this? And before you know it, you'll be able to, because you see, there are a lot of people who want to feel good, that only feel good when they observe things that make them feel good. So then they have to isolate themselves and only run in circles that talk like they do. They can only watch the television programs where everybody agrees with them. They don't want to hear anything that is different from what they've already decided. And then they live a narrower and narrower and narrower and narrower world. Mm-hmm. When what you're wanting to be out in the world, sure of yourself. When you're sure of who you are, and when you know that under all conditions you can come into alignment if you want to, then you can explore this meaty, life-giving, expansion-giving contrast without fretting, without fear. Now the contrast can serve you in the way you knew it would. Not one of you timidly said, oh, we're going forth into the physical, and there are scary contrasting things. I hope I will be able to hold myself in alignment. I'll never look in the direction of those bad things. Instead, you said, bring them on, because I've got guidance that always lets me know where I am, and I don't have to protect myself. What we hope that you are hearing from us here is this closing of the gap that we're talking about all day, every day. Of course, we want you to come into alignment, but we are not trying to teach you to close your gap and keep it closed tight. Because as you've just heard us say over and over again earlier today, the joy is in the journey. It's the movement. So imagine the perfection of contrast that causes you to expand, conscious awareness, deliberate control of the gap, then more contrast that causes you to expand, deliberate control of the gap. We don't want you to fear or even avoid negative emotion. We want you to understand it and manage it.
Okay.
If you saw a little child just learning to walk, awkward and falling down, you wouldn't say, "Get up, you little dummy." You'd stand in your place of secure, knowing that this is how it starts out. And we want you to feel that way about all things. We want you to give yourself a break and ease up a little bit. And let's not make such a big hairy deal out of negative emotion. Negative emotion is as essential to deliberate creation as positive emotion. How do you know it's positive if you don't know what the negative is, you see? Just manage it and do it on purpose. Be in charge of the way you think and feel. Don't let the thoughts think you think the thoughts. And if the thought you're thinking doesn't feel good, modify it. But don't worry about it. You've been hearing us say that if life has caused the larger part of you to expand and the rest of you didn't go with it, that's what negative emotion is. And now what's happening is law of attraction is responding to your vibrational reality, and law of attraction is responding to what's going on now with the thoughts you're thinking, the drum you're beating. And as law of attraction is responding to those two contrary vibrational aspects of you, negative emotion is the result. And if you do nothing to try to ease that negative emotion, and in this case they're doing the opposite, they're trying to exacerbate it. But if you do nothing to try to ease it, don't worry, it will become more anyway. Because law of attraction is going to continue to respond to who you really are and what you really want, and to what you're offering vibrationally now. So the first thing you get is an emotional sensation. Later on, it could be a physical sensation, even a pain, even an illness. In other words, don't worry, it always gets bigger. So the reason that we talk about pivoting, which is just, I know what I don't want, what is it that I do want, and getting off of it as quickly as possible, is because there is no value whatsoever in staying focused upon what you do not want. We would never do that for point of clarification. In other words, Esther's been doing it not deliberately, but because relative to the refrigerator or something like that, because it's just vivid in her life experience. But we would not encourage her, because people do contradict one desire with other thoughts all the time. But it is possible to have everything that you want, and in truth, at the heart, the underlying essence of what you want, if you can get there, you'll realize that these two subjects are not as far apart as they might feel. So when you talk about what you want in a relationship, I want a relationship, I want someone that I can feel exhilarated with. I want someone that feels fresh and new. I want to be able to continue to explore and expand. I want someone that when we are together, I feel an exaggerated version of the best of me, and I want to see an exaggerated version of the best of the other. So when you get at the heart of that, a lot of what you think, in other words, a lot of people don't think that they can have that in a singular relationship, because how can a relationship that lasts for 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 years or so, how can it stay fresh and new? And the way it stays fresh and new is that you each keep expanding, you each keep coming into alignment, and you each keep finding your new point of attraction with one another as you continue to expand. So it isn't necessarily the case that one desire would contradict the other. The reason that you want to settle down, so to speak, with someone is because you want the ongoing experience of being able to explore together to deeper and deeper depths of delicious co-creation. The reason that you want many one-night experiences is because you fear that in that singular relationship you will begin to feel bound and not free. And so it's the feeling, the idea that I won't be free in one ongoing relationship as I commit myself. Am I not creating a sort of bondage for myself where if I'm out here with a new one, it feels freer. But what we want you to hear is that just because it is the same person doesn't mean that you have to not feel free. That your freedom, in fact, is not about your relationship with any other person. Your feeling of freedom is about your relationship with who you are. You can't help. Here's the best way of saying it. You're going to, no matter what, whether you have one relationship or whether you have a different one every night, you are going to continue to be an expanding being. And the way you feel within all of these relationships or within this relationship that you're talking about, the way you feel is not about the singular relationship or the multiple relationships. It's about the relationship between you and you. That's what makes the difference about the way you feel. People are looking for love in all the wrong places, you see. And so what is it? What is it that makes a person feel, people often feel insecure unless they have a secure relationship. But the majority of the times that secure relationship makes them then feel not free. And we want you to understand, so let's just play this out. Let's say, different person every night, different person every night, different person every night, different person every night. Fun on many levels. Different person every night, different person every night, person every night. And through that process, didn't like that so much, really like that. Didn't like that so much, really like that. Really like that. Didn't like that so much, really like that. Didn't like that so much. So you're creating this perfect relationship over here in your vibrational reality. We're not implying that it is a singular relationship. In other words, you are creating through what you are experiencing the best exposure to a relationship for you. You're creating that. So there it is. Now let's say that one of those relationships really got your attention and seemed so satisfying on so many levels. So you decided to commit in a stronger way, maybe in a way you've never done with anyone, to this relationship. And now you don't feel free. So your conclusion is, should not have made that commitment, should have kept myself footloose. But we want to say that's not what went wrong. What went wrong is something in your observation, something in your own thinking, therefore something in your own vibration is causing you to contradict the relationship that's really in your vibrational escrow. In other words, it's you not letting yourself come together with who you are that's causing the feeling of not being free or the feeling of feeling insecure. It hasn't got anything to do with the other. That's the thing that is so confounding to so many of you. In other words, if you will look for the relationship between you and you first, then the universe has to yield to you the perfect set of circumstances to satisfy who you really are and what you really want. In other words, if in fact you had tuned yourself to alignment with who you are, and you'd managed to maintain that alignment for a period of time, we promise you, you're not going to come down off alignment. In other words, you're not going to crash and burn from alignment. You do that from drug-induced stupors, we agree, sometimes. But from this alignment with who you are, that's not logical. This is logical. It is logical that when you tune into who you are, when you tune out, it feels worse. It is logical that if you've trained yourself for a period of time, Esther's noticed that to get ready for a gathering like this, she doesn't want to be focused upon anything that's going to be upsetting to her. And so often, usually, she will meditate to bring herself into a place where her vibration will raise. And after being in an environment like this with Abraham pouring through her all day, she's in this high-flying good place. And after the seminar, if she turns her attention then to something that was problematic before, she does have that crashing and burning sensation. In other words, because when you've been flying high and then you focus in opposition to that vibration, you do take it hard. But it is not, all we want to say is, it is not a consequence of being in alignment that is responsible for that coming out of alignment. You just feel it more. And here's the best way to describe it. A car that's going 100 miles an hour and hits a tree, is a much bigger problem than a car that's going 5 miles an hour and hits a tree.
Wow.
So in your alignment, you're aligned. And the reason you're aligned is because in your state of alignment, hear this, you're going to really like this. In your state of alignment, it doesn't mean you've rid the world or even yourself of negative thoughts. In your alignment, it means you've focused yourself into vibrational alignment that does not include those resistant thoughts. Let's start again. Every thought that has ever been